Everyone's favorite friendly Marvel web-slinger is back, this time played by Brit youngster Tom Holland. Here, the youngest Spider-Man to date takes on one of the most menacing villains from the comic book, Michael Keaton as Vulture. Spider-Man is joined by none other than Iron Man, Tony Stark himself, RDJ.
Pump your brakes, kid. That man's a national treasure.
With his trusty sidekick, Happy Hogan, played by Jon Favreau. Hey, what the hell happened to that guy? This movie connects just right into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, all the while feeling much like its very own movie. Here, the young high school Peter Parker navigates girls, classes, bullies, academic decathlons, and the mix of emotions of feeling like a superhero while being a kid. This movie clocks in at over 2 hours, but boy, is the entire thing fun from start to finish, in my opinion. John, what did you think of Spider-Man Homecoming?
There was things I liked in the film, but I did not love this movie. I was not head over heels about it. It took a long time to get going for me. Eventually, I was kind of sucked into it a little bit, about halfway through. But some of the things that I liked the connections that it had to other Marvel films. I definitely think the way they start the film off and the connections it makes to past Marvel films was inventive and interesting and a good way to get this going. I know that this version of him, I think, is closer to maybe the way he is in comics and some of the previous the cartoons back in the 90s and stuff like that. But I found him to be a bit annoying. I know he's supposed to be witty and quippy and kind of a motor mouth, but it got on my nerves. And even in that opening scene, I was already kind of annoyed by his character. I never really fell in love with Tom Holland as the character. I just didn't really get into it. I didn't feel that the film had enough dramatic stakes that sucked me in. I didn't enjoy the sense of humor in the film. So when you go through 2 hours of a movie and you can't really get excited by the action scenes too much, you're not really sucked into the characters, you're actually annoyed by the lead character, none of the side characters are doing anything with their comic relief for you. I was just wondering, what am I supposed to enjoy from this film?
I don't know, man. I'm caught in the spider web of Tom Holland really captured the essence of, like you said, more the 90s cartoon than the comics. He's nerdy when he needs to be, when he's in school. He's cocky and funny when he's in the suit. And he's heroic when he needs to be. But he's a kid this is the first time they've ever really given you more than prologue or 30 minutes like they did in like in the Raimi movie. They gave you one half a movie where he's in high school. And this one, you can tell that they're really going to hang and slowly progress him as a kid who has these powers, who wants to do good things. He's still unaware of how to do them. And so he doesn't know who he's supposed to save at this point. He doesn't know how to save them. He just knows he has these powers and he wants to do it.
So in this one, they nailed that Peter is in high school. It's totally believable. The supporting cast looks believable as high school characters. So they've got that down, and they've got some time to let it grow. There were small details that I liked about the film. I thought that his suit was pretty awesome. There's some things I still want to know about how all of that works that isn't fully explained. I think the way they gloss over the entire backstory that was set up in the previous films, I'm actually interested to know, how did he become Spider-Man? Because they gloss over that very quickly. Is there an Uncle Ben? I'm not sure.
He's got this super hot aunt who everybody wants to bone, even his classmates.
Probably grieving from losing her husband recently. I don't know. Like, we don't know. They have not.
I love Marissa Tomei's take on Aunt May because she's like this really hot older woman that doesn't realize she's hot and is kind of nerdy and she's quirky. Yeah, and they didn't use her that much, but when they did, it was basically just for comedy. She's not the Aunt May you know that gives pep talks and shit.
I believe there's a hero in all of us.
He wasn't overdoing it. He was never a hammy villain, nor was he a very serious villain. He fit the tone of the movie, and he was sparingly used. For me, it was a good foe for Spider-Man to fight as his first supervillain, because he's not that hard to defeat, but he's challenging enough because he can fly and because he's got those tech guns that can put Spider-Man down. Director John Watts, who they took a chance on, I don't know, I think he really outdid himself. I think he played ball with Marvel first and foremost, but he also created a new fresh world for Spidey to kind of play in.
So I thought this one being almost more of a comedy than it is your typical action-oriented Marvel movie, even though there's a ton of action. I think the pacing's actually pretty good in this movie. But I thought from a direction standpoint, it was kind of that director for hire. I think he did a fine job. There was nothing that was bad about it. It wasn't distracting in any way. There was very few sequences where it got my blood pumping or got me excited to watch this. I did think they did a good job of keeping this on a small scale for Spidey's first adventure. I mean, there's some big set pieces, but
It's
it doesn't
nothing
involve a lot
world-threatening.
Yeah, it's not world threatening. So I'm glad
Thank
they didn't go
God.
there. There wasn't the blue space beam or whatever at the end of the film. The ending, as you said, is a little bit overdone. I do like that they kept it on kind of a smaller scale when it comes to the action
They
scenes
needed
and
to.
the adventure
They really
and the
needed
story.
to. They needed to because
They need room to grow. They can't start so big with all these
well,
films.
that's the beauty of it is like even though it's not an origin story because he's technically Spider-Man, it's an origin story about his arc on learning how to be a superhero. We didn't see the accident with the spider. And we didn't see the Uncle Ben getting killed, which made him want to fight crime. I think it'd be cool if Aunt May was a lesbian and there was an Aunt Ben.
Whatever they want to do. But he doesn't seem like he lost a family member that he's broken up about recently. Maybe it happened a while back and it's not really affecting him at this point of the story. Though there's really touching scenes in Spider-Man 2 where they play on his guilt over all that. And then they even bring it up in Spider-Man 3.
Well, maybe in further Spider-Man Homecoming sequels, they'll...
Spider-Man Winter Formal.
That would be funny, dude. Or Spider-Man Prom.
And then the third one is Prom.
I almost got it. Hey, welcome to Cinema Gulp. I'm Ben. This over here is John.
Hi!
And this is our Gulp review of Spider-Man Far From Home. So,
Hi.
how's it looking?
I can't tell. How's it look to you?
It looks okay.
Do I look like a Spidey hero?
Kind of.
Yeah?
If he ever decides to go short sleeve, he'll know where to
It's
look.
summer. Come on, man. It's fucking hot out
That's
there.
true. Spider-Man does need to have a summer outfit. So what do we think of Spider-Man Far From Home? What are your first interactions?
Well, I wasn't the biggest fan of that first Spider-Man in the MCU. I found the Peter Parker character to be grating on me and annoying. I could not get behind him as his teenage self.
This is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Let's go!
Yeah, well, I don't understand. Is it for me?
He's grown on me over a couple films, and I really enjoyed this one. Well, it's still another Marvel product to some degree. I feel that with most of these Marvel movies that they're all just kind of being churned out by the same machine. There's not enough diversity in the style of filmmaking, but that's what we want. We're now in this series, 20-something movies in, we need the consistency, and what I really give them credit for is still this many films in, continuing one storyline or whatever this connected universe is and making sense of it all. Like this, I really did kind of like what the premise of this film was and how it fits into the MCU and how it feels on a big, grand scale, an adventure that the Avengers should have shown up to help out with, apparently.
Now, Hawkeye, it's time to do your thing. I'm out of arrows.
But when you kind of know the twists and turns that this film has to give you, that it comes back to being on a smaller scale. And it made sense of why it was just a Spider-Man adventure instead of the whole Avengers.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I think John Watts, the director of the movie, is really directing these movies with ease. And I know that they are still just Marvel products, good ones at that. Like they're still churning out good product. But I like that he seems to really be like fine-tuning Peter Parker as a person, which is what I liked about Raimi's movies, is like it was so much more about him as a person, him as a character. And this one, like you said, seems grand. It's very epic in scale to an extent, and then when that kind of changes and you figure out why, it all still at the center of it is about Peter and him wanting to take a break from all this. Rightfully so, don't blame him for that after everything. But I love that I felt more of the Tobey Maguire performance coming through in Tom Holland this time because of his just, I want to take a break. I want to have a girlfriend. I just want to go and tell her how I feel. I just leave me the fuck alone.
Leave me the fuck alone!
But in the end, he has to, even if he wasn't told to, because that's, he has what he has. He has his powers and stuff like that. And I appreciate that this movie, though it, decides to globetrot and go to Europe or whatever, it still sticks with who like Peter Parker is and what he has to do, and sometimes it's hard. It's like you feel bad, like even he has powers, that's cool. My favorite thing about the movie is just Peter Parker and Spider-Man, and I'm glad to hear you say that you liked him more in this one because they're really getting him to be a juicy, meaningful character.
Yeah, no, he's definitely come around for me as a character, one that I could follow in number of films to come, which it seems like we're going to get. He's going to be somewhat of a linchpin for the MCU MCU moving forward, and not necessarily stepping into the shoes of Tony Stark, even though that's a lot of what this film is about to some degree.
That's true.
But yeah, I agree with you that the focus on the character is first and foremost in this movie. The action and the adventure of this film is a little bit secondary, and I'm okay with that because it wasn't the most interesting thing for me in this film. I found Peter Parker and all of his friends, every single one of his friends, what they've done with the characters, to be very interesting and kept me entertained when things like the action scenes are just filled with CGI and the stakes don't feel all that high to some degree. They feel forced as to why certain people are in these moments to create stakes in the film, and so since that's forced, it doesn't really make me feel like there's real stakes there. So
yeah, I love the way they used the kids and the other students and Peter's classmates. Loved that in this movie. I don't think any of the other ones really did that outside of who his love interest was.
Yeah.
At this point, he has like this kind of cool little group of nerdy friends. And, and I love, I think her name is Zendaya.
Something like that.
She's the one that plays MJ, who I guess is not Mary Jane Watson. So at his level, and they don't treat her like some idiot damsel in distress, like she, you know.
I didn't think of that. You know, the various love interests across the board in the MCU because they don't
kids, so you don't really think about it that way, I guess.
Well, they're letting us see, other than Pepper Potts, we don't really get to see behind the scenes of any relationship in the MCU.
No, I forgot about them all.
So this, they're all completely forgettable. Really, they really are. So she's really come around from that first film where she wasn't the love interest, but you knew that maybe it was going to go that direction because she is the MJ character.
And she had funny little scenes in the first one, but she just didn't know.
And it all makes sense, what you see, how her character's grown in this film, like her dark side, essentially. It makes sense that she was kind of that quiet character in the first one that didn't come out of her shell, and that Peter didn't notice her first off.
Yeah, and I love that. I love their play back and forth with one another.
Bitch! Learn how to fucking make coffee, you fucking whore!
Even though the character annoyed me in the first one, I do think Tom Holland is a good actor, and it really shines through in this performance, I think. In the second film, he has a lot more moments where he can be dramatic and have that connection with her, that nervous connection that I think worked better than in the first film.
He's awesome in this movie. I love him as this character. Like, this is the shining moment in all the movies he's been in so far, is in this one. And that's my favorite thing about this movie is his performance, how they treated Spider-Man, how they treated Peter Parker. So they've made all these different shifts to keep it its own thing and compiling different comic book runs to make their own Spider-Man. And I think it's paying off now because you have more time to sit with his character. And, you know, again, the Tony Stark thing kind of fills that in, like you said. You know?
Yeah, it takes the role of the Uncle Ben to some degree, the loss of Tony Stark in the MCU and what he meant to Peter Parker, how he was a mentor. It fills that role completely, where we still have the character that he learned from, that taught him with great power comes great responsibility. It's still all there, just with a different character.
Yeah.
And we kind of see that with so many things in this version of Spider-Man. Aunt May is a totally different character. MJ is a totally different character. Even the Flash character is handled totally different.
And I love it.
But we love what they're doing, the changes they're making to make this something of its own.
How cool would it be if we found out Ned was Ned Osborn? And they're like, there's it. I would love to see like a big giant green goblin on a hoverboard.
Here you go. Don't let it get out of control. Whoa.
We're not talented enough of movie critics to be able to talk about Mysterio without giving away too damn much.
So here we are to break the illusion and let you behind the scenes of what happened in Spider-Man Far From Home. Well, who is Mysterio? You tell us, because you seem to know a lot more about this character from the comic books.
Well, big surprise, the Spider-Man villain Mysterio, also known as Quentin Beck in the comics, is actually the villain of the movie. I don't know why that was such a secret, but
people don't read comics these days, so they don't know.
But I don't know. But anyway, so Jake Gyllenhaal is Mysterio. He's Quentin Beck. As with everything they do in the MCU, they fine-tune it to make it fit within this universe. So it's, he's not just some goofy special effects guy that loves to fuck with Spider-Man and robs banks. He actually, again, the second Spider-Man villain in the second Spider-Man movie that gets his hands on some Stark tech, and that's how he creates these illusions, and the illusions are really, really cool looking. Not the elementals necessarily, but when he gets Peter kind of stuck in them, I love that shit.
Yes, kind of the dream sequence moment, or sucking Peter into the dark space or whatever world.
So I was so happy to see that Gyllenhaal is finally getting to be in a Spider-Man movie after 2001, 2002, when he was gonna be Spider-Man when Tobey Maguire like broke his back or whatever.
They should have played on that. They should have had a moment where he like
I'm surprised
kind of turned
didn't.
into Spider-Man.
My back! My back!
It has a moment where it brings to life the possibility of the Spider-Verse, into the Spider-Verse and the multiverse being a thing that's connected to the MCU. I found that kind of interesting, the way that they played into that. It was a really trippy moment in the film where, what's going on? I thought I was doing a review, a Cinema Gulp review. Where am I? What is this place? Ah! Help! Somebody! Cinema Gulp!
So Jake Gyllenhaal's performance in this, I think we differ. I thought it was very strong. He stole some scenes. I thought he was really great towards the set. That's why we decided to do a spoiler one, because you can't talk about a lot of Jake Gyllenhaal's performance in this movie until you start talking about when he becomes the actual evil Mysterio.
But I gotta say, so I have some issues with his performance. I thought he was bland. I think Jake Gyllenhaal is one of the most entertaining, creative actors out there, always finding ways to make his performances different and surprise me. And I felt him to be bland. I know it was in part of the setup before the reveal, but God, the reveal scene that he does is the worst bit of exposition I've seen in a movie in a long time.
I always thought it was kind of a wink and a nod, though, wasn't it? Kind of like.
Was it? It just seemed like he's in a room full of people who know everything he's saying. So he's only speaking this to the audience, and it goes on and for a long time with flashbacks and all this elaborate stuff.
It's great. I love it.
And it's just like, okay, thank you. We needed to know that as audience members, but this just had no point of storytelling. It just did not fit as reality.
I see what
stop and do that in that moment.
I see what you're saying, because you're right. Why would he tell everyone that's in the plan, especially when he doesn't know if Peter's going to walk back in 2 seconds? He's literally telling them the whole entire plan. I just feel that by this point, all the filmmakers, they know when they look at a scene like that, they go, that everyone's just going to say that's exposition dump. So I think like in the hands of maybe not such a great of an actor, it might have come off a lot worse. I felt like it was funny because I'm like, they know that this is just a big exposition dump, so I kind of give it a pass because I was enjoying the shit out of it, and because it brings back the person we've all been waiting to see again in the MCU, what's his name, Peter Billingsley. From The Christmas Story. He is in the first Iron Man movie, and he has the line, "I'm not Tony Stark."
Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps. Well, I'm sorry. I'm not Tony Stark.
And he shows up in this movie as a disgruntled ex-Stark employee, and it goes to show you that Stark is still a piece of shit, even in death, because you find out he laid off all these motherfuckers.
And so that's the part that I did enjoy. Even within that scene, there was moments that I was like, oh, that's clever. I really liked how once we find out that these are all disgruntled Stark employees who have helped him build various tech that he took the credit for and all this stuff. That's really cool that 2 Spider-Man movies, essentially the Avengers and Stark tech, is what kind of leads the villain on their path to get revenge or try to make money or whatever their motivation is. It's from something from the past that Stark had his hand in, that he didn't even know he caused this problem that is festering long after he's left it. And
Mysterio is like a master of illusion, like he, in the comics and stuff like that, he uses like special effects wizardry and all that stuff, and it was cool how they incorporated it into the Marvel fabric this time by having it be Stark tech, and it does make it more believable when you see these ridiculous large-scale elemental creatures and that he's fighting them. I mean, there's a lot of holes. There's a lot of holes with like how it actually physically destructs the world around it, and like these drones that get used. It's a little ridiculous.
They do give you some explanation on that stuff.
Even the explanation doesn't really make it any more plausible, but because we talked about how we both just really like the relationships and the people, especially the students, because some of the action and some of the special effects and stuff like that just felt like, we've seen it.
Yeah.
And it's perfect as to why, because Mysterio is, this Quentin Beck guy is like, what can I do to like dupe the entire world? Well, right now, the people that saved the world, you have Thor and you have this Doctor Strange guy and blah, blah, blah. So he created his entire look after kind of this familiar look that people would just associate with as a hero. Because he's got this like Asgardian looking look to him, and then he has a lot of Doctor Strange features.
Well, as he says, if you got a cape and lasers, people listen to you.
Yeah, and
these
I
days.
think the scenarios he creates with the elementals, those scenes do feel familiar, and they do feel like we've seen this before. I think that's because that's what he knows how to create that'll get people, because he wants those to be bigger.
He's staging an Avengers action scene because he's seen the movie.
Yeah. Lucky for him, every Avenger, because this is a solo movie, they're always busy doing some other shit.
There are 2 stingers in this movie that actually explain a lot. Like these are probably the most important stingers I've ever seen in an MCU movie in terms of storytelling.
Should have just been the end of the movie.
Yeah,
but I don't think
really
they wanted to end up with a cliffhanger. So
So there's a cliffhanger. Do we want to go into detail on exactly what happened there?
Absolutely.
So the cliffhanger is that the world is told by a dying Mysterio that basically one last illusion, one last trick on the world. He makes everyone believe that really Spider-Man was behind all of this, the whole movie, all the bad stuff going on in the movie. He uses one last illusion to trick everybody into believing that Peter Parker did all this. And he also tells the world that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. So in the next adventure, the cat's out of the bag.
Through some very basic sound and visual editing by Peter Billingsley's character from A Christmas Story.
100%.
I'm sure you could figure it out that shit was doctored. Like, you put those glasses on and say, hey, look, this video was tampered with.
100%, yeah. But then the other stinger that I loved so much, which puts the way you see Samuel Jackson's character in a different context in the film, once you've gone through it, you get a little moment with some scrolls from Captain Marvel at the end, the Ben Mendelsohn character and some other character.
I can't remember his name in the movie.
No, but
he was my favorite part of the movie.
And he's one of my favorite parts of this movie with only 10 seconds of screen time. He's so funny, just the way he plays that character.
I want to talk real quickly about Samuel Jackson and Nick Fury, because I did not like his performance in this movie at all. And when you find out, when you see that very last stinger, it all makes sense, and you're like, he actually was great. It's only these little subtle differences. Because he's always kind of like a hard ass, but he's such a jerk in this movie. He's such a dick to Peter, and
it came across as something forced and not right with his character, but they make it make sense.
And Maria Hill the same way.
Yes.
She's usually funny. She would have been really cool and sweet to Spider-Man when she met him, but she was stoic and she didn't speak. And then there's all these really shady looking motherfuckers that are supposed to be I guess new SHIELD agents.
Yeah,
and who are these fucking people?
I love that scene when they make the one badass guy be the bus driver. That was actually, there was a lot of great humor in this movie. The first, definitely the first half. It kind of wanes towards the end, but the first half with all the relationship stuff, we've got this hilarious relationship forming between Aunt May and
Jon
Favreau's character,
who kicks ass, and he's so great.
He's really funny in this, and has even some kind of touching moments as well. So.
But just from the comedy, the very first, when the Marvel panel scroll thing's happening, they have "I Will Always Love You" playing. You're like, this movie's at least gonna be funny. And I love it. It's the school doing
a school video,
a little memoriam thing for. And I love to just have this really grainy picture of Vision because no one knows who the hell that is.
Well, and then even the last one's got Getty Images over it because they borrowed the image or whatever.
I'm just always having fun when I'm watching. But that's biased for me too because I've loved Spider-Man since I was a little kid. He's the most relatable superhero I think that's ever been written because he's not rich. Now Marvel's kind of going, oh, now he's got fucking basically Stark Industries is his in a way, so it's gonna be a little different, but I think it'll still, they know what they're doing, and I think it's great to see John Watts come back. I like that, Peyton Reed stuck around for 2 Ant-Mans, hopefully a 3rd if they ever make that. I want to see the John Watts guy continue because I like his self-contained stories within the MCU. I like it that they're having these guys come in and make their own vision, and they're not disposable like the Thor movies. There's a different fucking director for every one of them.
Yeah. I don't know if we touched on the blip much, but
no.
I found it very interesting. They could have done more with it throughout the entire film, but they give us some interesting exposition at the beginning about where the world is after the loss of the heroes, of Tony Stark, and everybody coming back from the snap. They call it the blip. And what the people who lost time, how they reconnect with the people who did not leave and stuff.
And they give us that prologue within the tone of this movie. So it's not this big depressing, like, oh, 50,000 people washed up on shore this morning that were all on a cruise ship, and then when the cruise ship wasn't there, when they blipped back, are all dead from drowning.
I didn't think of that.
Or what about the people that blipped in the fucking in a fucking airplane? They just all fall from the sky.
It didn't go
this
into
movie
those
doesn't do
details.
that. It uses it almost just for laughs.
Yeah,
which is good for this movie.
But yeah, the world certainly kind of got back to its thing pretty quickly.
It didn't seem like it was
different. It was very different. Everyone's still on vacation. And
I like the little touch that Venice is continuing to sink more and more and more, and like they noticed that, hey, our movie actually takes place in 2023, so we should show Venice.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, like we should show Venice because Venice is sinking.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
like so let's show a quick scene of what Venice may look like in 5 years as opposed to now. And I was like, that's a good detail.
Oh, okay.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can.
Spider-Man No Way Home. Do I even need to talk about it? The return of Tobey Maguire, the return of Andrew Garfield, the inclusion of Doctor Strange, the inclusion of Dr. Ock, the inclusion of Dr. Osborn, the inclusion of the electric guy, I know his name, Electro, and then you got the Lizard and the Sandman in there too. Look, I've been blowing Tom Holland's Spider-Man since 2016, and I know this movie's not perfect. It's got a fairly weak and boring first act. It relies a lot on crossover characters like Doctor Strange. Then, of course, we get the nostalgia clinic, Dr. Ock, and Green Goblin who appear, which is great, and the theater is going fucking nuts. But at the end of the day, what was the story of this movie? Well, the story kind of sucks. It's the experience of this movie that makes it work, and made it such an event that made almost $2 billion. I've got issues with this movie. I don't really think you needed Lizard in it, or Sandman for that matter. But it was still great to see them all, and even though Jamie Foxx is basically just, well, playing Jamie Foxx and not the character we knew, that's a good thing, because that character sucked ass. Obviously, this drum has been beating for 5 years now, but the addition of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are what make this movie so special. Not because they had some sort of glorified cameos, but because they're main characters of the third act of the film. They teach our younger Peter things that they've learned along their way. You have the elder statesman of the Spider-Man guys with Tobey Maguire playing a much more subdued, relaxed, and mature version of his younger self that we saw in the 2000s. Then you've got Andrew Garfield, who looks like he has gotten over all his anxieties and sadness of losing his lady, and he seems to be kind of having fun with every situation. The three of them together was magic. They worked perfectly together. The fact that they're so integral to the story of this MCU version of Peter Parker is why this movie is awesome. We can go on and on about Doctor Strange and his really strange spells that he casts, and not just simply having a conversation first about, should you do this? Why do you really need to? And have you tried anything else? We could talk about that stuff all day. It's a big plot hole. It makes Doctor Strange look like a moron, but then we wouldn't have a movie, I guess. Out of 3 films, moving in to Brand New Day, the 4th Spider-Man solo film in the MCU, I think all 3 of these movies are pretty damn good. I would have to say the most enjoyable one to watch would be this one. But I like all 3 of them. I know they're not loved. I know there's issues with Iron Man Jr., as they call him, things like that. But the MCU took a different route than the typical origin story with Uncle Ben. And, you know, I gotta give him some props for doing something different. And Aunt May is smoking hot. That works for me. Unfortunately, we won't be seeing her in Brand New Day. Thanks for watching, everybody. We drink your cinema.
I drink it up!